Hello. We are
Hey,
back.
girl.
Hey.
Hey, girl.
Welcome.
Hey.
Hey, girl. Hey. Welcome to another fantabulous episode of Real Women, Real Talk. Oh, I'm so excited to be here. I got so much to talk about. I can't wait to talk to you, sister.
I cannot wait to hear what you got to share. I'm ready.
Oh my goodness. So if this is your first time joining in, welcome. We are at episode 21. So exciting. We're just moving on up in these podcast episodes. So excited that you are here with us. And I am Shavon Carter, one of your co-hosts. I am a facilitator. I can't even get the words out. I'm a facilitator. Yes, that's
That's
what
who
I
you are.
I'm a facilitator for Real Women, and I am joined by my beautiful sister, Dr. Trenace Richardson. And I said your name, but yep.
I'm just here. I am so enjoying your joy right now. It's got you wonderfully flustered. Love
I'm telling you, I'm trying to contain myself so that I don't talk too fast and be all giddy.
it.
But I'm just really, really excited. So y'all, thank you for tuning in. We are Real Women, Real Talk, and we are a part of a nonprofit organization that my sister, Dr. Trenace Richardson, founded, Real Women Rock. And we exist to create safe spaces for women to do real personal development work on themselves. And so this podcast is an extension of what we call sister circles that we host every month in multiple weekends throughout the month. Now that we are in 2024, you can catch us virtually, you can catch us in person. Just go to our website, realwomenrock.org, and find out all about our locations. And this is just a little sneak peek to give you an idea of what it's like to have a safe space, and to be among sisters where you can feel connected, you can feel understood and heard, and just like, yeah, they get me. I
Mhm.
struggle with that too, and they understand. So we hope that you're encouraged, inspired, and that you're entertained because we are funny too. So visit
We
our website.
appear.
Yes, realwomenrock.org.
Mhm.
All right, sister. So how are you doing on this beautiful day?
I'm doing really well. Real talk. It has been where we live, it's been snowy,
Mm-hmm.
and I usually hibernate. We've talked about this in past episodes.
Yep.
I hibernate in the winter, so it was nice to have a snow day in. I
Yes.
had to go out in it today, and was really I was enjoying the fact that the snowfall brings about clearer, fresher air. And so that's what
Mm,
I chose to enjoy about
yeah.
today. I was wrapped up good enough that I didn't feel like, ooh, I'm freezing.
Yeah.
But I was able to breathe deeper. Reverend Anika Wilson Brown, shout out to her, one of our partners for Real Women. She recently talked about in one of her devotionals the fact that because the snow is heavy, it
Mhm.
pulls the impurities out of the air and pulls them
Mhm.
down with them. And so, as a result of snow, it purifies and it
Mm.
literally allows us to breathe better. So it gave me a new appreciation for the snow this year, this
Yeah.
winter.
I did not know that, but I can see how that would be possible, right? 'Cause when you
Mhm.
do go outside, even though we don't really go outside a lot when it's cold and when it's snowing, but when you do go out, it's like, it does feel pure and fresh and you can breathe. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
I
That blessed me. So I'm good, girl. I'm doing good. The question is,
love
because I've had to wait for a little while now. How are you, Siobhan?
Okay. So I am doing so good. I'm excited for a number of reasons. Some of this I'll talk about in this real talk segment, and then I'll talk about it more in our deep dive. But I'm doing good because I just came back from an interview from one of the sites, counseling sites for school.
Mm.
Um, yes, and that's so major for so many reasons. So if you've tuned in to previous episodes where I shared that one of my challenges was reaching out to counseling centers and organizations to try to find a site where I can do my practicum and internship. So I am in a counseling program, master's program. And part of the requirements for graduation is I have to find a center to get my hours for practicum. And then I also have to flow into internship where I have to get a certain amount of hours with, interacting with clients and doing sessions and just getting the experience of a counselor. So I had been procrastinating, putting it off for so long. And thanks to Real Women, a Real Women Sister Circle that we just had on Saturday, that the beautiful Rhonda Ragsdale led and co-led by Nefertiria McBride. And it was about sprouts and not despising the small steps, that we make. So during that virtual circle, I shared just the anxiety I was starting to feel with having to reach out to these centers and just where I was in the program, just really kind of feeling a little discouraged about it. And to the point where I was like, you know what, maybe this ain't for me. Maybe I shouldn't do this. So I vocalized all of that in the circle, and just the release of it, to put words to it, and then the encouragement that I got from the sisters in the circle, it just really motivated me and it encouraged me and supported me in a way that I was like, you know what? Let me pull out my list and let me just go one by one, the ones that I want, to reach out to. And that's what I did on Saturday. So I reached out to about 10, 11 sites via email.
Girl.
Yes, I was in a flow. And I've heard back from a few of them already. And this one particular one was one that I put a star by. Because it is Black woman owned, team of Black women. They service Black women. So it just really connected with me because that's the community and the population that I desire to counsel. So they reached out to me and wanted to do an interview, a sit down, just to see if it would be a good fit. And the lady who will be my supervisor, if they choose me, she was really cool. And she was like, I really want you to meet, the owner of the company. So I'm going to reach out. She was like, I'm really impressed. You're an amazing person and all the things. So I was like, oh my God, this is so great.
Of course you're an amazing person. Yes.
So it was so encouraging and just showed me how much I had been in my head about this. And when you take the steps, doors open, and who knows what's going to happen. But for me, it just gave me the push that I needed to know that I am on the right path. So
that is so encouraging. First of all, I'm just so happy for you because not only have we talked about it, but we've talked about it in terms of accountability. And just we've committed to you all to periodically just check in with certain things. And this was your thing. And so to just know that there were certain things you were supposed to do, and it felt like, okay, let me just call one place. So let me just email one place. But it took a spark that was lit in Real Women in a sister circle, and you just had the energy to go for it. And then just knowing all of the ripple effect of just taking that small step and not worrying about what could happen and all of that. I am so proud of you.
Yeah. Thank you. It feels amazing because I was just focused on, okay, well, I do have one place secure that I know that I could fall back on. But then I was like, but you want a little bit more flexibility. You want something that's close to the home. So I started thinking about options. And I was like, you don't have to put yourself in a box, just see what's out there. And the floodgates have opened up. So I am inspired, encouraged, and all of that.
No limitations. No limitations.
No
Can I add to the goodness really quickly to just say, as it relates to accountability, I haven't even shared this with you. We have a release date for my single song.
That means you have been in the studio singing, sister. Oh,
So there's a release date for a single. I mean, we have other songs that we're working on, but we're just going to do this one as a single.
okay.
And that's coming in very soon. I'm going to say very soon. I'm going to start putting things out very soon. And
Yeah.
so I'm excited about that. Maybe even by the airing of this, we might have, more posted and we'll be able to talk about it in subsequent episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm feeling really good about that. But also, Leading with Soul is my mentoring of women leaders, and
Mm-hmm.
I took a pause on it in 2022. And now in 2022, we had our last cohort. In 2023, I took the pause
Mm-hmm.
and we started up again this year. And it has been going. So these women, not only are they freaking amazing, but already their growth and expressing themselves and moving forward, both professionally and emotionally, and all
Mm-hmm.
of the leads. It's just been amazing to
Totally.
watch. So like I know I wasn't able because I was speaking somewhere on behalf of Real Women somewhere, but I
Mm-hmm.
know the concept of sprouting that
Mm-hmm.
Rhonda was talking about is real. That if you just
Mm-hmm.
take some small steps, that
Mm-hmm.
major things can happen. So I'm
Yes.
excited for both of
Yes. I'm happy for both of us and just to see how much we have stepped and moved and how much progress we've made since we vocalized this and put it in this
Mhm.
virtual podcast circle. There's so much power and accountability. So I appreciate, you bringing that up and us talking about it because I know for me, accountability has sometimes I've looked at it as like a negative, like, oh,
Mhm.
know, I don't want anybody checking up on me. I don't feel like and all that kind of stuff. But it can also be rewarding and just motivating. Like it can be
Mhm.
positive too. So I love that. I'm so happy for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you are being accountable to a gracious, supportive
Hmm.
environment. Like if
Yeah.
you're getting support and you're also given grace,
Yeah.
and no judgment in the process. And
Hmm.
so we extended this to you all before. If you would like for us to be some level of accountability with you, we would really like to hear from you. Y'all
Hmm.
remember we got a new way we can do this now. So
Yes. Yes.
yes, you can go to speakpipe.com/real women real talk and just let us know what you're dealing with and what you want to put in the virtual circle to get some support and accountability for. And we can just hold each other to it in a loving, non-judgmental, gracious way.
Absolutely, absolutely. We
Mhm.
are so excited about that as well. And it's a limited time frame as far as the message that you can leave, but just hang up and call right back, and
Mhm.
leave another message part two. Just say your name and say that it's part two and keep on calling until you get out what you need to say so that we can hear.
Mhm.
Yes.
We got you.
Yes.
Mhm.
All right, sister. Well, thank you for that real talk. And I'm so excited for us and proud of us too that we are making progress as we start 2024, which is
Mhm.
beautiful. So now, are you ready for the deep dive conversation?
Ready for the deep dive today.
Yes. So, in this segment, we're talking about the latest nugget from maybe a Real Women's Circle or something that we've talked about before, or something that is on our heart that we want to delve a little deeper into and explore during our time together. So, today, what I want to talk about, sister, is purpose.
Mm, 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 mm.
Let's talk about.
Trying to be a purpose pusher today. Okay, let's do it. I love it.
Yes, we are being purpose pushers. So, there's so much on my mind about this, and I want to kind of flip it on its head and not necessarily talk about identifying your purpose because that can
Mhm.
be a whole conversation. But I want to talk about when you have identified what your purpose is, and you have moments when your mind or you get into your head and you're over analyzing and you start to lose sight of your purpose to the point where you feel paralyzed or you're stagnant or you're not moving forward. So while you're thinking about that, I want to tell you where this comes from, and it connects with what we just talked about as far as the accountability. So I know that my purpose in life is to inspire, encourage women, to help women experience a level of freedom within themselves that they've never experienced before, both emotionally and physically, like to just experience depths of freedom and to push the limits in their mind and their hearts and their spirits. I know that's my purpose.
Sure.
And we can have a whole nother conversation about how I came to that conclusion that that was my purpose. But also, and I know that I felt called to this counseling program so that I can pursue licensure and become a licensed counselor so that I can continue the work and purpose of helping women. I'm really clear about that. And in this program, this master's program that I have been in since 2021, I think is when I started back pursuing this degree. It's been ups and downs to the point, like I just shared, just this weekend, I was like, you know what? Maybe I wasn't supposed to do this. maybe, maybe maybe I don't need to go to school. Maybe I can just use the gifts that I have already and just facilitate and do it that way because this is getting hard now. It's requiring a lot from me. It's requiring a lot of energy. And I'm starting to feel like I can't do this.
Wow.
And so just that quickly, I was willing to let it go. And I believe that I just lost sight of what my purpose was and what my reason was for joining this program. It wasn't until I continued to take steps to reach out to these centers, and the feedback that I got was a reminder, you're okay. You got this. It's already in you. Don't overthink it. Just continue to walk the path. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Have you ever lost sight of your purpose, and what was that like for you?
You asked that, so that's what I want to talk about today. Have you ever lost sight of your purpose? Hell yeah. So first, thank you for sharing. I love how these are weaving into just where we started in segment 1 to where we are. Yes, I have lost sight of my purpose. And it has typically been around the shoulds versus what I want and desire to do. If I believe that our purpose, one of the ways that we can figure out our purpose is to figure out what we would do. And I believe in service of others, right? I don't just believe our purpose is just for us,
right?
But what we would do in service of others for free if we did not have to worry about taking care of ourselves and provision. And so I have, a handful of things, literally. I am built and purposed to speak and to sing and to preach and to pour in to literally help facilitate conversations that would allow women especially, but people in general, to feel safe and seen and heard. And so that comes about through safe spaces, singing, speaking, facilitating, preaching,
Mhm.
teaching, me communicating both in song and in word,
Mhm.
helping to shift atmosphere and to change spaces from whatever they are to make them safe um, and places where you can feel and be.
Mhm.
Um, and when I have not been clear or operating in those spaces, it's been because I feel like I should be doing this. I should be making more money. I sh-
Mm.
I should be living, in this space. I should go to school because these pieces that I have been doing, people say they don't make the kind of money where you could have a decent living.
Mhm.
So it's been around the shoulds.
Mm.
My losing sight of my purpose has been connected to what either has been expected of me or just what I perceived as expected of me. Does that
Mhm.
make sense?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
That is so real. And what I hear in that is the expectations that we put on purpose and what that journey should look like. We have in our minds and we have mapped out how it's supposed to go. And anytime we veer off of that criteria, that expectation, then it's like, see, and here comes the critical voice or the slowing down or the distractions and those kind of things that cause us to veer off the path or lose sight of purpose. Yeah.
And I have one more as it relates to what can veer us away from purpose.
Hmm.
If in the midst of operating in our purpose, we hit a hiccup
Yes.
or a difficulty.
Hmm.
You've mentioned this already. If we make a mistake,
Hmm.
if things get rough or tight,
Hmm.
oh, I knew I shouldn't have been doing this. I knew this wasn't going to work out.
Right.
And so it can become, I think for many of us, you expressed it already, it can become difficult to distinguish, am I just having a rough road on the path I'm supposed to be on?
Hmm.
Or am I having a rough road because I'm not supposed to be on this path?
Right. Right.
That's some rough stuff, boy, to figure out, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, and that's where the exploration comes in.
Mhm.
And it sounds like I may have done it when I think about it. I probably did that this weekend as I was thinking about this. Like, okay, if you stop now, you have
Mhm.
already spent all of this money for school.
Mhm. Mhm.
In the beginning, this is what you said you felt, and you felt it deeply.
Mhm.
So what about that? What
Mhm.
what
Mhm.
what voice do you think that was? And
Mhm.
then what is this really about? What is really making you want to not do it anymore?
Mhm.
And when I explored that with myself, I was like, because it's just hard. And I don't want to do it's just
Mhm.
hard,
Mhm.
right
Mhm.
now, because it's
Mhm.
requiring me to get out of my comfort zone.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's what it was. So
But I even wanna look at what you just said. You exampled, what you did, but by process, you asked yourself questions
yes. Hmm.
and gave yourself permission to talk to yourself.
Yes, yes,
to
absolutely.
to have a conversation with yourself about what was going on. And
Yeah.
I think too often we are very eager and ready to talk to somebody else
Hmm.
about what's going on inside of us,
Hmm.
and they are ready to give us their opinion,
Absolutely.
or their thoughts based on what they think is best for us or what they've heard from us, or
Mhm.
all the things.
Yeah.
I think my family has admitted this. My mother and a couple of people in my family, they have admitted
Mhm.
that when they were encouraging me to just go through school, and I don't regret it now today,
Mm-hmm.
but I do know that me pursuing school, like I've always been in school all my life up until I got my doctorate
Mm-hmm.
at age 30. I'd always been in school. I just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
And what that prevented me from doing was fully pursuing my creative pursuits, just in singing and acting. And I didn't have the time and wherewithal because I was pursuing what was going to be stable income
Right.
instead of, taking the risk of what this would look like for me.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were encouraging me, go to school, go to school, go to school, they were really speaking out of their own fears and their
Mm-hmm.
own reservations about, it wasn't that they didn't think I could do it, or,
Yeah.
it was really, I don't want anything bad to happen. I don't want you to end up, because I know, I took this road and so I think a lot of times we are afraid to have the conversations with just ourselves and trust
Yep. Mm-hmm.
our own voice,
Mm-hmm.
um, so that when that road does get bumpy,
Mm-hmm.
we have this internal conversation that kind of reinforces, yes, okay, this is what I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and this is why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back at it.
Right. Let's
Yeah.
get back at it. So, what
Mhm.
would you say to those who are watching and thinking about your own process? We've talked about some of my process, but thinking about what helps you. How do you get out of that space and continue moving forward or pivoting to something else as it relates to purpose?
Mhm. Mm. First of all, I cry. I
Mm,
release. I do a lot of crying and releasing.
mm-hmm,
Um, it's a cleanser for me, right?
mm-hmm,
So I grieve whatever I allow myself to feel.
mm,
Allow myself to feel whatever I'm feeling.
mm-hmm,
So if I'm feeling regret, if I'm feeling confused, if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I allow myself to feel those things.
mm,
And I am one that doesn't necessarily emote with everybody.
mm-hmm,
I have people that I emote with,
mm-hmm.
but I emote with myself all the time. So we know each other very well.
Yeah.
Um, so so that's the first thing. And then I don't know if this is way on the other side of the spectrum,
Mhm,
but to be very honest with you, I think some of it is trial and error and
mhm,
just figuring out this isn't it.
mhm,
And I say that because there is this I just talked about how you can be on a road and it get rough and you doubt whether this is it or not. And
mhm,
so I have had to say to myself, okay, let's try something else. I've had
mhm.
to do that. Let's
Yep.
just
Mm,
let's just test this out,
yep.
test this thing out, and let's see if this other thing is supposed to be the thing.
Mhm,
And I no, it's not. That's not
mhm.
it. Once I get over there, I'm like, you know what? I'm not supposed to be doing this. I'll give okay, real women,
Real
transparent
women, real talk.
real
Yes.
women, real talk. Stop being general. Okay, I have had, even though I have been in full-time ministry in the past,
Yep.
um, I have moved away from full-time ministry, gone back into higher education, and really fully immersed myself in not only real women and growing real women, but helping to facilitate and consult um, conversations and growth development workshops, all that kind of stuff with women leaders and executive teams. Like I am a consultant of leaders and I am growing real women. I
Mhm,
know that in the education space, in the consultant space, like I'm moving where I'm supposed to move. And out of the blue, I was offered to pastor a church, not just any church,
yep.
but a church beloved to me.
Mhm, mhm.
And not just offered it, I mean, be a part of a process. So I don't
Right.
want to make it sound like they were giving it to me.
Mhm.
But I was like, well, let me just entertain the
Yeah.
whole conversation
Uh-huh.
because that was an aspiration at some point, in my life. I'm an ordained minister. So and then I was in there and I was like, and I mean, in the conversations and in the process of the conversations. And I was like, nope, I'm supposed to be right back over there. That's where I'm supposed to be, right over there, because they are not going to be able to handle the evolved me. So let
Right,
me go back over
right.
here.
Come back over here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I use that as an example that
Mhm.
feel all your feelings. I think you should be able to explore all of that
Mhm.
without putting yourself in a box.
Yeah.
And whether that means trying it or exploring it in a real way,
Mhm.
trial and error.
Yeah. I love that because that is essentially how you get to identify what your purpose is. For some
Mhm.
people, there's this inner knowing and they just know it from the very beginning. And there are some like you and like me where you had to try different things to see what really connected. And
Mhm.
that's where it comes from. And so if you are out there and you're like, y'all talking about all this purpose stuff, I don't even know what mine is. That's
Mhm.
fine, because we didn't know. There was a time where we weren't sure and weren't clear either. And it was just doing things like just trying things. Okay, this time, let me work with kids. I see I really like to work with kids. And I did that for a while. And I was like, oh, I'm going to start this multicultural center for children and all that stuff. I had all these ideas.
Mhm.
Then I started to find myself gravitating towards women. And then it became, you know what? Maybe the kids was a season, working with
Yeah.
children was a season, and then now connecting with women is where it's supposed to happen. So
Mhm.
it's just trial and error, exploration. And when you are clear and you know what your purpose is, there are times when you can get distracted or just lose sight of what it is because of all the things that we've talked about. And we just want to encourage you to just continue on your journey, whatever that is. We're not telling you to just stick with it and stay.
Mhm.
That's not what, after you explore and talk with yourself and cry and emote and do all the things that are involved in your process, and at the end of that you feel like, you know what, then okay, then maybe time to pivot into something else. So you get to choose is what we're saying. You have the
Mhm.
space to figure that out for yourself, and we just
Yeah.
want you to know that it's okay to do that.
It is okay to do that.
Hmm.
Um, I I feel compelled to say, um, if it is more than one thing,
Mm.
that's okay.
Yes.
If it's more than one thing, that's okay. I
Hmm.
think we put ourselves in so many boxes.
Hmm.
And in the same way that people go looking for the one,
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I got to find, out of all of the millions and billions of people in the world, I have to find this one person who is born just for me. I don't
Mhm.
believe that.
I
I believe that the way that I am built, I have giftings and skill sets that would lend themselves toward more than one thing.
Yeah.
And then I get to choose. I love this. It can be, all of it is work and all of it is process. You got to
Mhm.
figure it all out, right?
Mhm.
So whether you just focus narrowly on one thing because you feel like this is the thing for me,
Mhm.
um, or whether you decide you're a multi hyphenate. I love that term.
Mhm.
Even, some people can get overwhelmed by it, but I love it because what it says is there are pieces of me and I am more than one thing. And
Mhm.
so I love to sing as much as I love to speak. And it's not just one audience for me. I love to
Yeah.
speak to leaders. I love to speak to teens. I love to speak to women. I love speaking to young adult women.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think what your purpose is may be more than one thing.
Mhm.
Just want to say that out loud. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll share this one last thing before we move on. I'm glad that you said that because I struggled with that for a long time because I
Mhm.
feel like I have so many different gifts and talents to where I was at one point saying, God, why would you give me all of this? It's overwhelming. I don't know what to do. I can't focus because it's like, oh, I
Mhm.
want to write. Oh, I want to dance. Oh, I want to publish. Oh, I want to be a counselor. Oh, I want to be a coach. It's so many things
So many things.
and things to focus on. And so that was another thing that I had to learn how to navigate. Just I don't have to do it all at once. There may be seasons that I'm coaching, there may be seasons that I'm counseling. It could be using all of those skills at one time in a setting.
Mhm.
So I had
Mhm.
to relax and understand that I didn't have to do it all at the same time because I was exhausted.
So good. So
So
good. So good.
there that
Yeah, you get to choose.
you get to choose. Yes.
Mhm.
Woo, that was so good. Thank you, sister, for
That was good.
engaging in that purpose discussion because that comes up so many times for people. Just what is my purpose? And then for those who are clear, it's happens that you can lose sight of it sometimes, on your
And
journey.
we are not going to get off this topic without talking about the fact that we have literally published a book called
We
Purpose
did.
Pushers.
We did. And if I was in my office, the one day I would be downstairs, I would have held the book and everything. Yes, there is a book called Purpose Pushers, realwomenrock.org. You can find it. Uh-huh. Yep.
Mhm. Just
Available
saying.
for
Shameless
purchase.
plug.
Yes. Available for purchase. Purpose
Absolutely.
Pushers. It's a compilation of different women's stories about how they operated in their purpose in different phases of life. So think of the butterfly and the different phases that a butterfly has to go through to become the beautiful butterfly that it is. It's a process. And so the women talked about their different processes related to purpose. So we invite you to get that book. It's so good.
Mhm.
Okay, let us journey into our next segment, which is Put Myself in Her Shoes. And this is the segment where you can also comment and share with us your stories. If you go to speakpipe.com/ real women real talk and leave a message with your scenario or your comments that you want us to put ourselves in your shoes, and we'll read it on the show. Okay. So today we're going to talk about Tony and Nita. Are you ready, sister?
Mhm. I'm ready. I like the names already.
Yes. All right. So Tony and Nita have been dating for about 6 months, and Nita's been enjoying the journey so far. She says he's kind, he's attentive. He appears to be serious about getting to know her, settling down with her. He's not trying to play any games. However, Nita is concerned that their life purposes do not align.
Mm-mm.
She says that Tony is content with going to work and going home, and he sits down, catches up on his favorite shows. He prepares dinner for the evening and just gets ready for work the next day. And that's pretty much the extent of his life during the week. And maybe he'll hang out with friends on the weekends, but she believes that he's not working towards a higher calling or purpose.
Mhm.
Whereas for her, she is passionate about volunteering to help at-risk youth find constructive ways to express themselves, and she does that on a weekly basis. So she's really passionate about these children. And she hasn't had the conversation about purpose with Tony yet, and she's wondering how to approach it without being critical or judgmental. So, putting yourself in Nita's shoes, what would you do in this situation, sister?
So here's the thing, putting myself in Nita's shoes,
Mhm,
dating someone for 6 months, for me, that would have been in my early 20s, very early 20s.
mhm,
And there are so many factors that could blind me from what I should be thinking about and the conversation we really need to have.
mhm.
Um, I was probably having sex with him. So, so I could have been blinded that way.
Yep. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, you know, having all of the issues, daddy issues, having all of the issues that I have,
Mhm.
the fact that he's a really good, solid dude, it sounds like, and
Mhm.
that could have kept me in that bubble and just saying he's good for me,
Mhm.
um, or good to even good to me. Um, and so I could be thinking about all the reasons why, and honestly, here's the last one. It
Mhm.
was really hard for me not to be in a relationship. Like when I
Mhm.
was dating, I went from relationship to relationship because I needed to be with someone,
Mhm.
and wasn't real comfortable being single by myself.
Yep.
And so tons of reasons why I would ignore this conversation. So I can't even say if I put myself in her shoes that I would have the conversation that needs to be had,
Mm.
to be very honest.
Yep.
But looking back with, hindsight is 2020. What I could and should be doing is, yes, approaching it without being critical or judgmental, because it's not as if Tony's doing anything wrong. He living his life.
Mhm. Mhm.
And if he's content with living his life, how dare I critique him and be judgmental of him? Because perhaps this is important, I think, for some men,
Mhm.
it's just important for them to be stand-up guys.
Mm. Oh, that's good.
Because because many of the men around them or that they know are not.
Mhm.
And because they know a lot of dirt bags,
Mhm.
it is important for them to just be a stand-up dude. And we talked about this before, because the ratio of women to men is just off.
Yeah.
There are a whole lot more women out here than
Mhm.
men. Then they're thinking, I'm gonna find somebody who
Yeah.
just appreciates me being a stand-up dude.
Exactly.
So I think I would want to have the conversation. I
Mhm.
would want to do it without being judgmental or critical. Um, and here's the most important thing. I would not want to spend the rest of my life with someone, or even seriously long-term date someone
Mhm.
who is not seeing the world the way that I am.
Mm. That's good. I love the way you phrase that. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
we're not seeing the world the same way, because Nita is volunteering, she's helping at-risk youth. She's like, there's a whole lot going on in the world right now, and
Yep.
I need to be a part of the solution.
Yeah.
And he's like, soft life. Like, you know,
What about this show though? What you think about this show that
what about this?
what
So So I get it, and I would hope that I would be bold enough and brave enough to have the conversation, and confident within myself
Mhm.
enough to have the conversation. But I have settled in my dating life, and I could see either myself not having the conversation and shrinking as a result,
Mhm. Mhm.
or being attitudinal as hell and resentful and bitter as hell,
Mhm.
because mm, mm, I was about to say, "What are you doing, sir?"
Right.
I was about to
No,
call him up. "What are
yeah.
you doing, sir?" So
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Mm.
Child, what would you do?
Sister, sister, sister. Okay. So putting myself in Nita's shoes, I have absolutely been Nita
Mhm.
more times than not.
Mhm.
And it was similar to what you said, jumping into relationships, not really going through my own process and figuring out what I desire, what's important to me. I would get in the relationship and then do that, and then try to
Mhm.
make them fit into those boxes, and it's like, okay, this not really measuring up, but maybe I can, like, if I, you know, do this or twist it
Yeah.
up. I plant a little
I
seed like
didn't ask
this,
enough questions
you
before
know.
we
Right. So maybe if I ask it now and gently encourage him to do this, then maybe it'll still work out the way that I desire it to.
Mm, mm, mm,
One isn't fair to that person because he is who he is,
mhm.
or they have, or who they are. And so it's not fair. Either you take
Yeah.
them for who they are or not. And not to say that they can't evolve, but not trying to make someone be who I need them to be so that I can feel better about myself and my choices.
Mhm.
And so I have definitely been Nita. And so what I have gathered and learned through my experiences is I got to be honest with myself.
Mhm.
If somebody having a purpose that is aligned or similar or just pursuing purpose period, if that's important to me, that's important to me. And so
Mhm.
they can be the best person in the world, but if I know that that's something that I am passionate about and desire to be with someone who's sharing passions in their own rights related to purpose, it's not for me, it's not going to work because I'm not
Mhm.
going to feel content or satisfied. It's just not that they can be everything, but it's just not going to fit with me how I'm wired. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Ooh, need a girl.
No.
And I know that somebody listening is dealing with this because let
You.
me tell you what this reminds me of.
Okay.
It reminds me of I'm such a church girl, but we would be in church and it's so, it's always more women in church than men,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So folks would be trying to figure out, a woman saves her household by being saved, and how do I how do I how do I deal with my husband not being my spiritual head and all
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. Like there's just so many questions and so much that needs to be examined on the very front end so
Yeah.
that you don't end up this woman feeling like you're so far beyond your man and all this
Mhm.
kind of stuff. I think it's possible to align. I think
Mhm.
that's how you said it. The
Mhm.
purposes align. I
Yep.
think those are the conversations we need to be having during, the first
Mhm.
and second date. Like instead of
Mhm.
just saying he cute or whatever.
Exactly. It smell good. When you brought up that example about the church, it made me think about the sanctified wife sanctifies her husband.
Exactly. That was what it is. That's what I was trying to think of.
Uh-huh. Yep. That is so funny. Yep. But
Too
child,
funny.
don't gotta be that
Mhm.
way. It can be another way.
Child.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. So we have talked, honey. So let us go into our spiritual nuggets, sister. What
Mhm.
come up for you that encourage, inspire, and uplift our listeners and watchers today?
um, this is what comes to mind.
Okay.
Purpose is personal.
Hmm.
Purpose is personal. It is not um, a collective decision. It
Hmm.
is not. It is not group sport. Um, our purpose comes from within us,
Hmm.
and because I believe that God lives in us, it can even be confirmed and affirmed within us
Hmm.
as we practice it out here, as we and literally practice. We figure it out, but purpose is personal.
Hmm.
We don't have to be imposed upon when it
Hmm.
comes to purpose.
Hmm.
And so, whether we are trying to figure out our purpose, whether we feel like we have veered away from what our purpose is because we've gotten distracted or have listened to the shoulds, whether we are in relationships with people where purposes don't align, purpose is personal. And I believe we get one life.
Hmm.
And in that one life, pursuing and practicing purpose
Hmm.
is what makes the difference between a life fulfilled
Mm.
and a life deferred.
Mm. 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 Mm.
So
Mm.
pursue purpose.
Mm.
Yeah.
I just gotta let that breathe a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Purpose is personal.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Thank you, sister. I love that. I don't have anything else to add to that. Just
Mm.
take that in, y'all. Take it
Mm.
in.
Mm.
Beautiful.
Thank you, sister.
Y'all, this has been another beautiful episode, life-giving episode of Real Women, Real Talk. We hope that you have pulled something that you can apply to your life and chew on and explore with yourself to find what your answers are. And just check us out. Continue to come back and check us out. We're going to be here. We are in a flow and we love it here. So check us out on here. And we invite you to visit Real Women Real Rock, realwomenrock.org to find out about how you can connect with us at our sister circles, how you can donate to us, how you can serve, and the things that you can do to help us to grow, because it is our desire for every woman to experience a real women's sister circle, no matter where they are in the world. So
Mhm.
realwomenrock.org. And until next time, bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.